The summer of 1976 in Sacramento was unbearably hot, with jasmine and fear hanging heavy in the air. That night, a young woman in her modest home felt the unease creeping in as she bolted every lock twice before drifting into restless sleep. She had heard the whispers about the prowler who slithered through shadows and seemed to know your secrets before you did. Suddenly, a window creaked, piercing the silence with an ominous sound. There was no alarm. The night was eerily still. A gloved hand suddenly clamped over her mouth, silencing her screams. A flashlight's beam sliced the darkness like a scalpel, revealing the intruder's cold, calculated presence. He growled, "Shut up or I'll kill you and be gone in the dark," his voice ice-cold and rehearsed. He then bound her with her own shoelaces, his movements methodical and ruthless. He ransacked her home, unleashing a nightmare that felt like hours for her to endure. Miraculously, she survived, barely clinging to life. But she wasn't the only victim in this nightmare. Over the next decade, this ghost would strike 50 times. He would raid women's sanctuaries and escalate to bludgeoning couples to death in their beds. By the end, there were 12 confirmed murders and hundreds of burglaries. Entire communities were paralyzed, installing ear-proof gates and barking watchdogs in fear. Who was this monster? How did he vanish into thin air, taunting detectives with phone calls and smears on letters? What if I told you this predator wasn't just any criminal but a cop, a sworn guardian of the law? Buckle up, truth seekers, because the saga of the Golden State Killer is about to be uncovered. Let's rewind to 1945 in Bath, New York, where Joseph James DeAngelo Jr. was born, screaming into a world that would never know his dark secrets. His father was a stern army sergeant, his mother a quiet homemaker, and whispers from family hinted at a troubled upbringing. From a young age, horror seemed to follow him. His sister violated by airmen on a German base, his screams stifled by his father's iron fist. By his teens in Folsom, California, Joey was no longer playing baseball, but torturing neighborhood pets and cracking safes for thrills. A neighbor later confided, "He was always watching like he was mapping us out." In 1964, DeAngelo drifted into the Navy, dodging Vietnam combat, fixing leaks. But rage simmered beneath his calm exterior. He went to college, studying police science at Sierra and criminal justice at Sac State. By 1973, he was Exeter PD's golden boy, patrolling sleepy streets in Visalia. But beneath that badge, a storm was brewing. Enter the Visalia Ransacker in 1974, a chaos-inducing spree of over 120 break-ins. He didn't just steal, he performed, smashing piggy banks, flinging lingerie like confetti, scattering coins as if mocking his victims. He pried windows open with surgical precision, plotting escape routes carefully. Cops chased shadows, but he laughed in the dark, always a step ahead. September 1975 marked a turning point when journalism professor Claude Snelling confronted the intruder attempting to abduct his daughter. 2 shots rang out, and Snelling crumpled, blood pooling on the concrete. The ransacker fled on a stolen bike, kicking the girl into the dirt, his laughter echoing in the night. DeAngelo, meanwhile, was clocking in at the station the next day, stone-faced and unscathed. No DNA evidence yet, but investigators had a chilling hunch. Their prime suspect was one of their own. In 1976, transferring to Auburn PD, DeAngelo's darkness grew hungrier. The boy from Bath was gone. A monster awakened. And so, the shadow stalked Sacramento, leaving chaos, fear, and unanswered questions in his wake. Sacramento in 1976 was shimmering with the Golden State's bright beaches and Hollywood dreams, but dread coiled like fog off the American River in the east suburbs. He called himself the East Area Rapist, a name whispered in hushed tones. His first strike was June 18th, targeting a woman in Rancho Cordova. She woke to a masked intruder, gun pressed to her temple, who snarled, "I hate you, Bonnie," referencing his ex-fiancée who dared to leave him. He bound her, blindfolded her with torn towels, raped her repeatedly over 2 hours, then ate her food, drank her beer, and vanished into the night. He returned on October 18th for victim 2, and again on November 4th. By 1977, a blitz of 25 assaults occurred in just 10 months. He prowled neighborhoods like a wolf, unlocking windows weeks ahead, calling victims to learn their routines, threatening, "Gonna kill you, bitch." Couples now became his targets. He stacked plates on the man's back, whispering death if they clinked, and dragged a 15-year-old girl into winter chill in December 76. Communities fractured as EAR curfews kept streets empty. Gun and gate sales skyrocketed as fear spread. A taunting letter arrived at a dispatch newsroom. "Yes, I'm the East Side Rapist. Stop me while you can," mocking authorities. He shot a teenage pursuer in the face during an escape and laughed into the phone at panicked hotlines. By 1978, he'd hit Stockton, Modesto, even the Bay Area. 50 rapes total, each more sadistic than the last. February 2nd, Brian and Katie Maggiore were out walking their dog when he gunned them down in a park, execution style without rape this time, just fury. Detectives connected the dots. Same DNA phantom, same diamond knot ties, but he slipped away, a cop among civilians, his badge gleaming as victims shattered. How many more homes would he haunt before the blade turned south? The clock ticked with suspense, thick as blood closing in. In 1980, Southern California turned into slaughterhouses. Ventura, Goleta, Irvine, their sun-saturated streets now scenes of brutal murder. The original Night Stalker emerged, an ugly evolution from the rapist known for silence. No more survivors, only a desire to end all secrets forever. On March 13th, Lyman and Charlene Smith, honeymooners in spirit, were bound and bludgeoned in their condo, skulls cracked, wedding rings taken as trophies. August brought another couple, their throats slashed mid-scream. January 1981, lovers. Greg Sanchez and Sherry Domingo were tied, beaten, their blood painting the walls. He lingered methodically, smashing their faces with logs. By 1983, Irvine wept for Keith and Patrice Harrington, beaten beyond recognition in their townhouse. 7 double homicides in 3 years meant 10, maybe 13 souls lost if linked, but he always vanished into beaches and sprawl afterward. No calls now, just corpses and questions. Why the sudden bloodlust, badge scandals, family needs? He retired in 1986, but the fear lingered. Victims' haunted eyes, never forgetting. What if the key to his end was not in labs, but in the stars of ancestry, revealing the ghost hiding behind the badge? In 2013, Los Angeles saw a new relentless chase as Michelle McNamara, a blogger with insomnia and a toddler, stumbled upon the case via a dusty forum. She dubbed him the Golden State Killer, a name that stuck like venom. Nights blurred into obsession as she pored over sketches, taunts, and crime scenes on Google Earth. She believed he wasn't a genius, but a practicer, a planner, someone who left subtle clues if you knew where to look. Her 2013 LA Mag article exploded the case nationally, flooding tips to authorities. But Michelle was far from an armchair sleuth. She haunted evidence lockers and interviewed survivors deeply scarred. Chris Pedretti, a 15-year-old from 1976, shared how his cold breath haunted him. By 2016, her book, I'll Be Gone in the Dark, took form, a masterpiece of empathy amid horror. Tragedy struck in April 2016 when Michelle died at 46, succumbing to exhaustion and pills, but her husband, Patton Oswalt, finished her work. Bringing her voice back through the book and HBO documentary, her ghost ignited a fire in the hunt for justice. Following her words, investigators chased shadows further, always asking, how close were they to catching him? In 2018, Sacramento Sheriff's Cold Case Unit, fueled by Michelle's inspiration, dusted off old files to find new answers. Detective Paul Holes uploaded DNA from 50 scenes, an elusive semen signature, into GEDmatch, a public ancestry site that needed no warrants. Within hours, DNA matches linked to DeAngelo's distant cousins, revealing a family tree tracing back to the 1800s great-great ancestors. Holes' team monitored a 72-year-old retiree in Citrus Heights, ex-cop Joe DeAngelo, trashing his household. They snagged a tissue, swabbed his car door. Lab confirmed a 100% match to the DNA. On April 24th, SWAT raided his quiet cul-de-sac, confronting him with overwhelming evidence. DeAngelo, balding and broken, snarled from his shed, "I did it bone to bone," as handcuffs clicked on the man who once wielded them. Genealogy cracked the code, marking the first major bust by this method, leading to over 150 solved cases since then. Whispers arose. Is privacy a price? Could your grandma's spit solve murders or stalk innocents? As his daughters claimed, Daddy was perfect. The world marveled. The phantom was finally unmasked, but this victory brought darker truths. Trials looming and secrets twisting beneath the surface. On June 29, 2020, in a Sacramento courtroom thick with rage and relief, 74-year-old DeAngelo was brought in chains. Prosecutors from 6 counties charged him with 13 murders and 13 kidnappings, but he admitted to an astonishing 161 crimes and 48 victims. Details revealed he would bind, blindfold, violate victims for hours, then bludgeon their skulls to pulp, horrors etched into every survivor's memory. Survivors like Chris, once a terrified teen, now stand steel-eyed. You stole my girlhood. but not my fight, expressing resilience. Family members of victims, like Jennifer Carroll's, who bled out in 1980, stared him down, shouting, "Rot in hell," as his eyes remained empty voids. DeAngelo muttered, "I'm truly sorry." But his remorse was hollow. The judge sentenced him to life without parole, 11 stacked sentences, on August 21st. He received no lethal injection as part of the plea deal and was transferred to Corcoran State Prison in 2021, where he rots under protection, outbursts echoing old rage. Michelle's book was finally vindicated. Her name on his charges symbolized poetic justice for her relentless hunt. Questions linger. Why did he stop in 1986? What snapped the beast? And in 2025, as new documents surfaced, do we really have him, or just one face of evil? The veil lifted on the Golden State Killer's fall, a thriller from nightmares, a cop's double life, a writer's spectral hand, DNA's digital dragnet, ending decades of dread. Yet in quiet Citrus Heights homes today, people double-check locks, haunted by what unseen lurks in shadows. DeAngelo's cage holds him, but his terror persists in victims' unspoken screams. How many badges hide blades? How many cold cases wait for a Michelle? If this story captivated you, hearts pounding, subscribe to Behind the Veil Truths for more darkness. We've peeled back a layer, but the abyss still stares back. What's next on our hit list? The hunt's just beginning. Your secrets deserve the light. No secrets are safe.